What is up, investors, and welcome back to the Everything Crypto Show. I'm your host, Everything Crypto, here to bring you the latest and most important news moving the crypto markets. Now, in today's episode, we have a very important video for you guys. We got to talk about some massive upgrades across a ton of Crypto.com platforms, including the NFT platform and the DeFi wallet, the SEC officially giving Bitcoin a pass as a commodity, and the White House threatening to ban Bitcoin mining if it cannot turn carbon neutral. So definitely tons of important information in this video. We also got to talk about Ripple and a potential Bank of America partnership. So you're definitely going to want to stay tuned for this one. And without further ado, it is time to sit back, relax, grab that morning cup of joe, and enjoy the show. Happy Saturday, everyone. I hope you all had another fantastic week at work, and I hope you have an amazing weekend ahead. I just wanted to ask, and if you've not yet hit that sub and like button, please consider doing so and joining the Everything Crypto Squad, as the number one goal of this channel is to bring you all of the most important news you need to know on a daily basis. Now, on that note, we're going to hop right into the charts like we always do. First of all, starting off with the US dollar that has finally taken a breath here. We have finally seen a nice pullback on the US dollar of about 0.5%. And because the US dollar has gone down, crypto has had a nice pump in the past 24 hours, as we have cited that inverse correlation between the two. But keep in mind that we could still come back down here to test this 107 level of support and then just continue marching on up to 120, which does bring us back to dot-com bubble levels. Blah. And I do think that is very possible given the current macro environment. I think that was nothing more than a pullback, but it was nice to see a little bit of relief on the US dollar and finally get a crypto rally going on here. And we're going to talk about this crypto rally next, because first off, I got a couple of questions asking if I did any buying yesterday, and the short answer is no. I don't do buying on these green days anyways. I do majority of my buying in peak fear and capitulation phases, which is why I did a bunch back here in June. But the other reason that I have not bought is because I am not convinced the bottom is in. In fact, I do think that we go lower, or at the very least revisit these June lows at some point in Q4. So you're going to see here that even after that nice move on Bitcoin of about 10%, we are still about 10% below the 200-week moving average. We have no volume to suggest that we are going to make that push back up to the upside. And the fact that we made this move on next to no volume does suggest to me that this definitely was a short squeeze, as we know that shorts were piling into Bitcoin below 20K. They got a little bit too greedy, so the shorts did get punished. But at the same time, the fact that this was a short squeeze was not super impressive, considering that we had a record amount of shorts in Bitcoin. So definitely something to keep in mind, that it was sort of a weak bounce in my opinion, but it was nice to see some green finally. Now on Ethereum here, very similarly, we got pegged right at that level of resistance at 1730. We broke above it briefly and are now right back below it. And I still think that Ethereum does have a lot of overhead resistance here. Even if it was to break above 1730, we had a nice double top here right at 2K a couple of weeks back. And I think that even leading into the merge, that will still act as a strong level of resistance. So that is what I am looking at for both Bitcoin and Ethereum. We do have some data to sort of break down why I still think that we're going to see another capitulation phase in Q4, and we're going to get to that in a couple of minutes. But first, this is the question of the day. Following the merge on September 15th, what do you think will be the better performer until the end of year 2022? Will it be Bitcoin or will it still be Ethereum? Let me know down below. And this is the question of the day, because we're going to talk about this relationship between the two in a little bit, but I really want to know your guys' opinion on that. So, friendly reminder, it's the weekend. Touch the grass, crypto nerds, okay? I'm going to try and do that, myself included, because I think I spend way too much time doing research sometimes. So touch some grass, get some fresh air, spend some time with family. And by the way, we have CPI data next week, just a friendly reminder. So the CPI data I'm not super excited for, and I'll tell you why. Because I don't think we're going to go up on the inflation data again. I think we are going to cool off again. If we did go up, that would be disastrous, because people are expecting us to go down, and that would completely flip the trend. That would not be good for the markets. However, I think that even if the inflation data goes down, that it is still bad news, because that means people are going to be a lot more fearful of aggressive quantitative tightening from the Fed. So in my opinion, the CPI data is pretty much good news is sell the news, and bad news is sell the news. So I kind of see this as a lose-lose situation, and I do think that either way we probably will sell off following the CPI data. I would be very surprised if we don't. Now, on top of this, we also have the European Central Bank raising interest rates by 75 basis points, the largest rate hike ever recorded. So the EU is cracking down on inflation, but the matter of fact is these basis point hikes are not going to matter when the energy crunch is the main thing causing inflation over there. They'll definitely help, but really the energy crisis is what's really hurting Europe right now, and until that is sorted, it's definitely going to cause some continued problems. Now, Europe was not the only one to actually raise interest rates by 75 basis points, as the Bank of Canada also continues their quantitative tightening with a basis point hike of the same degree. So we can see here that the US has got 75 basis point hikes going on, Europe, Canada, and I do think that is going to remain the standard for the next little while, at least until we actually do see that sort of demand destruction and a potential economic reset, which I do think is pretty much necessary at this point with the raging inflation, with the supply chain issues, not to mention the US housing market, in which mortgage rates have just jumped to 5.89%, the highest since 2008. And if you don't know what 2008 was, definitely go look at that year in the stock market, and you're going to see that it was not very pretty. So U.S. mortgage rates were up to 5.89% from 5.66% last week, and that's what really caught my attention, because this was a 23-point basis hike in the matter of a week. If we do keep on trend for that, mortgage rates will be well above 6% by as early as next week. So definitely something to keep our eye on as well. Now, we need to talk about what SEC Chairman Gary Gensler said yesterday, as he officially confirmed that he is supporting the Commodity Futures Trading Commission and having full authority over Bitcoin. This is massive news for Bitcoin specifically, and you're going to see some fake news out there that says he supports the CFTC overseeing the entire crypto market. That is not the case. That is why I did verify and pull up a correct source, because he specifically said Bitcoin. He said it on multiple occasions. In fact, he's been very careful to not mention any other crypto, even including Ethereum, which means that nothing in this market has the pass as a commodity except for Bitcoin. And this is obviously a massive relief to get Bitcoin out of the regulation of the SEC and get them under the CFTC, as clearly all the SEC is interested in is dampening crypto adoption. And what he did say here was that it does come with a provision that the CFTC oversight should occur, provided it does not undermine or overlook the power of the SEC. And power really is the key word here. That is what Gary Gensler wants. He just wants all the power. He wants to continue to oversee majority of the crypto market. That is why he continues to sue companies like Ripple, who are doing amazing work, because he wants to instill fear in the rest of these crypto developers that they need to register with the SEC, even though he clearly has no idea what crypto is, what blockchain technology is. He sounds like he does, but you can tell by his actions that he does not. And it's very interesting to see that he did kind of let go of Bitcoin finally. We all knew this was coming. I talked about this for a while on the channel, and that's one of the reasons that I do value Bitcoin, is because at this moment in the market, it is effectively the only crypto that has full regulatory clarity. I also do believe that is why it has surpassed the rest of these cryptos' gains by like double. You can see here that ETH was only up about 4.75% compared to Bitcoin's 9.9%, and that has been very uncharacteristic like throughout this bear market and the bull market really. Bitcoin was not an outperformer. In fact, it was an underperformer compared to alts, but now Bitcoin is once again leading the pack. And given the fact that Bitcoin dominance has just gone back above a key level of support at that 40% level, we also talked about how the ETH to Bitcoin valuation was stretched here and due for a pullback. A lot of indicators do lead me to believe that Bitcoin will actually lead the pack for the next little while. So that is my answer to the question, by the way, from the beginning of the video. I think that Bitcoin wins. And Michael Saylor tweeted here that with the exception of Bitcoin, which he analogizes to digital gold, the vast majority of crypto tokens are securities. This is in line with something that Gary Gensler actually said yesterday, and he basically said to these crypto companies, not receiving the message is not the same as not understanding it. And that was his point, that basically a lot of these companies are fighting back, saying their altcoins are not deemed securities, and he said just because you don't like the message, it doesn't mean that it is not the law. So pretty much he's standing very firm on his altcoin decision here, and that is disappointing to see, but I will be curious to see how they do make that distinction between alts in the future as commodities and securities, and most specifically Ethereum, because we all thought that Ethereum was getting a free pass, but he was very careful to not mention ETH at all when in his speech. So I think that's very intentional, and we got to see where that goes next. Now, we also saw MicroStrategy filing to sell up to $500 million of stock to fund more Bitcoin purchases. So Michael Saylor, he is still bullish. He continues to buy that Bitcoin, and that's pretty significant, right? Like Bitcoin just passed over a 400 billion market cap again on this bounce. So even if he did buy 500 mil worth of Bitcoin, that's over 1% of the total market cap of Bitcoin at the moment. So that would definitely be significant and could help us see some added buying pressure in the coming weeks, depending on when he does decide to offload that cash. So we also got a report from the White House here that says crypto mining causes greenhouse gas emissions, that crypto miners should work on minimizing greenhouse gas emissions, but most importantly here, they said that if necessary, results are not visible with the implementation of green crypto mining, the industry, including Bitcoin mining, could face a ban. And we have a direct quote here saying, should these measures prove ineffective at reducing impacts, the administration should explore executive actions. Congress might consider legislation to limit or eliminate the use of high energy intensity consensus mechanisms for crypto asset mining. This is a very interesting article coming out of the White House. A lot of people really shrugged it off, but me not so much, because that is a very serious statement from the White House that they could potentially ban crypto mining. Now, do I think it's likely? No. In fact, I think this whole energy thing really is a farce for the most part. I'm going to show you guys why in just a second, but that is still a serious statement coming here from the White House. And we know that there is a lot of big money involved in Bitcoin, definitely including members of the White House, of the SEC, of Congress. So for them to make a statement like this, I don't think they would just make it kind of half-cocked. I think if they said this, that they definitely do mean it. And we know that there is a lot of big money in Bitcoin, including members of the White House, the SEC, a ton of U.S. regulators. So for them to make a statement this bold in the report, I definitely don't think it's something to take lightly. But once again, I really don't think that it is a matter for concern for the long term. And I'm going to actually show you guys the data that suggests that we will actually potentially be carbon neutral by early 2025. I also saw Charles Hoskinson actually give his 2 cents here. He basically said that Bitcoin switch to a new protocol is necessary for its survival. I honestly completely disagree with this statement. I know a lot of people argue the proof of work versus proof of stake consensus mechanism. I think they both have their pros and cons, but I do specifically think that Bitcoin should stay proof of work. And the matter of fact is they don't have something like the Ethereum Foundation. There is no Bitcoin Foundation to make this decision and transition Bitcoin from proof of work to proof of stake. So I definitely don't think that it's likely, and I don't think it should be that way either. Now you can take a look at this article here with a very interesting graph that shows Bitcoin is projected to become the first monetary system to hit net zero emissions by 2024. So you can see here that in March of 2021, we had a 41% zero emission rate. Today, we have a 62.4% zero emission rate. By March of 2023, we are looking at a 72.7% zero emission rate. And by December of 2024, we are looking at net zero emissions achieved based on this projected timeline. So I do believe that within the next couple of years, Bitcoin mining will actually be net zero emissions. And I think that all this energy FUD will finally disappear. And I cannot wait, because honestly, in my opinion, it's one of the most useless and regurgitated arguments when it comes to Bitcoin in the whole space that really has no fundamental impact on the long term for Bitcoin. Now, we also saw Benjamin Cowan here talking about Bitcoin, and he actually believes that we are due for one more capitulation phase before we move higher, and I tend to highly agree with this statement. I'm going to show you guys why, hopping over to the charts. So you can see here that in the current bear market, let me just get the price range noted here. Okay, so you can see that from the top of this bear market, we are down about 70% at the moment, 70% from those all-time highs. Now, I want you to take a look at what happened in the 2018 bear market year from that $20,000 high. You can see that we were also down 70% in the bear market for a very long period of time, like from about June of 2018 all the way until September or October. And then boom, what happened? We cratered again down to being 83% from that all-time high. So it is not uncharacteristic for Bitcoin to come down 70% from its all-time high, shuffle sideways, and then see one more capitulation phase before eventually we do make that move back to the upside, which you could have seen here back in early to mid of 2019. Now, if we take a look here at the actual price range for the current bear market, I want to go ahead and see what it would look like if we are 80% down. Now, being 80% down would actually put us at a price of about 14,000. I know that is Benjamin Cowan's specific price target is 14K, a very well-respected analyst. He does have a YouTube channel with informative content. Personally, I am looking to start buying around 15,000, but I definitely don't think that 14K is off the table. The two key levels that I'm looking for are 15 and 12K specifically. Anywhere in this range, in between this range, I will be a buyer. And you can clearly see based on previous bull markets and bear markets that these things do happen. Now, just because something has happened before, it doesn't mean that it has to again. But given the macro environment, the fact that the Fed is still tightening, the fact that interest rates are still ripping and inflation is still high, even despite the fact that it's coming down, I definitely think it is more than reasonable to expect one more capitulation phase near the end of the year. And who knows, maybe even the Mt. Gox situation could be the one that does it. Time will tell, but I definitely do tend to align with this thinking here that we are going to see one more capitulation phase before the end of the year. Now, we also have Ethereum successfully deploying the final network test before the merge. Yes, this is it. Today was the last shadow fork step to go live, and we are done. The next thing to happen for Ethereum is, in fact, the merge, and you can see here on Watcher Guru, they actually have a merge counter. So the merge is now expected to actually take place on the evening of September 14th, and not September 15th anymore. And the merge is coming. You can get a live update right here on watcher.guru/ETH merge. And that is definitely very cool indeed. Now, the BitMEX co-founder explains why the Ethereum price, quote unquote, has to rise after the merge. And right off the bat, I'm going to tell you, I strongly disagree with this statement. He basically says that the Ethereum merges post-issuance could cut a significant upward catalyst to the point that it could be more powerful than the current macro environment. And I don't agree with that at all, okay? If people's pockets are tight, they don't care about the annual issuance being reduced on Ethereum. They care about hoarding cash. So I don't think that the macro precedes the micro. It never has, and I don't think the ETH merge is a big enough catalyst to sort of make that happen. But I also do want to talk about this because we got to take a look at whether or not ETH will actually be deflationary following the merge. So we know that ETH issuance is going to be reduced by about 90 to 95%. So it's only going to be issued at about 0.4% a year, which means that ETH technically should have an inflation of about 0.4 to 0.5% a year. But then if you factor in EIP 1559, which basically burns a little bit of Ethereum with every transaction, this is what people are predicting will make it a deflationary asset. But in order for ETH to be deflationary, we have to actually see a ton of Ethereum burned, which means we have to see activity on the network, which has been pretty low as of recent. So over the last 90 days, the average burn is about 2150 ETH per day, and over the last 30 days we have burnt 1200 ETH per day, so almost a 50% drawdown in the amount of Ethereum being burned every day. And basically what this article is showing you here is that if we actually see this continued transaction decline on Ethereum, then yes, ETH will be slightly inflationary, less than the current 4.5% that it is inflationary, but it will still in fact be an inflationary asset. However, do keep in mind that if your inflation on ETH is 0.4 to 0.5% a year, which it is expected to be at, but you are staking from anywhere for 3.8 to 5.8%, then you are still outpacing inflation just by staking your Ethereum. So in that regard, it technically is still deflationary, even if there is a positive net issuance. But I do expect that transactions will pick up on Ethereum again, especially when this bull market resumes, and that ETH will, both on and off paper, be a deflationary asset. Now, this leads us to the questioning, will Ether flip Bitcoin in the next year? I thought this was a very interesting article, and my short response to this would be no, not in the next year. But will Ether flip Bitcoin in the long term is what I am more concerned with, and I do believe that it will in fact flip Bitcoin. So for some context here, I'm a maxi of both, guys. I don't pick and choose Bitcoin, Ethereum. These two blue chips make up 50% of my portfolio, but Ethereum does make up a bigger amount of that 50%. So I'm definitely a bigger believer in Ethereum. And there's a couple of reasons why. First of all, it is the Ethereum merge, which has been on the white paper for 5 years. It is finally coming live. Now, this tweet basically says here that ETH is looking deflationary post-merge, while Bitcoin has an uncertain supply event from the Mt. Gox thing hanging over its head. We just had 9% inflation, and Bitcoin, quote-unquote, failed as an inflation hedge. Can Bitcoin remain the king going forward? Only time will tell if the ETH narrative post-merge is strong enough to overthrow the status quo. In the meantime, expect Bitcoin to continue trading like a funding asset and preferred hedging instrument for the entire asset class. So I definitely agree with that statement that that Bitcoin is more of a funding asset and a hedging instrument. And the main reason being is that it doesn't really have too much utility at the moment outside of that. I do believe Bitcoin has a lot more utility than people give it credit for, with their very own stablecoin being built on the network, MicroStrategy building out their very own Bitcoin software. But at the present moment, Bitcoin's application scope is narrow. It is censorship-resistant money propelled by peer-to-peer payments, but Bitcoin's architecture by design does not support smart contracts, unlike Ethereum. So this does limit Bitcoin's usage to micropayments and tips, really. However, when it comes to Ethereum, you're pretty much betting on an entire ecosystem of crypto, okay? Ethereum is DeFi, it is NFTs, it has over a 50% market share. And that really is the main argument here for Ethereum, is that you are not just looking at a supply and demand thing, you are also looking at actual utility, something that is propelling the crypto industry. So when you factor in that Ethereum will now become deflationary, it essentially does also have that store of value aspect to it as well. And this is what does lead this author to say that it is almost a mathematical inevitability that the flippening will happen. So consider this, there are 900 Bitcoin mined per day. At current prices, that is 20 million for miners to sell. And let's just assume they don't sell all of it. Let's assume they sell 90% to cover costs. That is 18 million in sell pressure every single day. And this is currently a problem that both Ethereum and Bitcoin do suffer from. But as the merge goes live, this will now only be a Bitcoin problem. So I really do believe that long term, just based on the pure tokenomic impact from the merge, that the ETH merge will go down as pretty much the sort of nail in the coffin that did allow Ether to flip Bitcoin eventually. Do I think it's going to happen anytime soon? No, but I do think one day Ether will actually be the new king of crypto. Now, we have to get into crypto.com. Speaking of king of crypto, you guys know I think this is going to be the #1 exchange in the world one day, and they have just rolled out support for their new NFT platform's native token, and what they are referring to here is Minted. So as you guys know, we have covered Minted on the channel before. This is the newest NFT platform to launch on the Cronos chain. They are in fact funded by Cronos Labs, that is a part of the crypto.com team. So personally, I am a big fan of this vertical integration that is going on here between the crypto.com platform and the Cronos chain. As the crypto.com platform continues to grow, some of their users should eventually make their way over to the Cronos chain, and vice versa. People who start on the Cronos chain may eventually make their way into the crypto.com DeFi wallet or the crypto.com main exchange, which does tend to mean that they'll probably have a little bit of a crow bag going on. So that is why I personally am a fan of this integration. I know a lot of people, especially developers, are frustrated, and I understand that frustration. If you build a project like an NFT platform just to see crypto.com come in with their very own one and pretty much try to make yours irrelevant, I understand why that is frustrating as a developer. But as investors in CRO, we want the best for the Cronos chain. We want the top projects on this chain, and I do have faith that crypto.com has what it takes to really build out on the Cronos chain. So nice to see that vertical integration here between their new NFT platform and actually having it listed on the exchange. This could definitely help bring more attention to the Minted platform, which does bode well for Cronos as a whole. So definitely a very good move from them there. And on top of that, while we're talking about crypto.com NFTs, I want to talk about this tweet from the Loaded Lions. As they say, this club is evolving to be one of the most exclusive groups in the space. The dots are being connected. Granted, the Loaded Lions have been a pretty slow-moving NFT project in the beginning, but I do really believe that long-term, these things are going to have tons of value. They have finally officially confirmed that we do have a Loaded Lions metaverse coming up. They warned us to put cash aside for upcoming land sales, so I definitely think they are looking to compete with the other side, which is the Bored Ape Yacht Club's metaverse. And keep in mind that crypto.com is projecting to hit 100 million users by 2023. I think given the bear market, this happens by 2024 or 2025. But if they can make the Loaded Lions perks amazing for crypto.com users, which they have confirmed they're working on, keep in mind 100 million users plus only 10,000 Loaded Lions, there are not that much to go around. And that is why I do remain very bullish on the Lions. Now, we also saw some upgrades to the Crypto.com NFT platform themselves. This is their mainstream NFT platform, not any of the Cronos chain ones. They actually went ahead and enhanced the NFTs collection activity feature. You can now check out new data points and directly place bids and purchase from the activity tab. You can also enjoy a browsing, filtering, and sorting experience and a new refreshed look to the marketplace homepage. So definitely tons of upgrades going on here across their multiple platforms, the Cronos chain, the main app, their NFT platform, and the DeFi wallet that I really want to bring you guys attention to, because I hopped into the DeFi wallet today to look at the crypto earn tab. And what I actually noticed here was that there are a ton of options now being offered in the crypto earn tab. You can see here, for example, they're offering Velo to USDC, and this is on an Optimism layer 2, okay? They are offering staking for Arbitrum, another layer 2, and also USDC staking through Polygon. So they have expanded beyond simply offering staking on crypto.org, Cronos, Ethereum, and Atom, and they are now offering staking on these layer 2s, including liquidity pool. So this is a Velo to USDC liquidity pool, a Velo to OP liquidity pool. So they are really building up this DeFi wallet here, not to only buff up crypto.com and the Cronos chain, but to also support a ton of other blockchains, and this is going to make it a serious competitor to MetaMask. And again, this bodes very well for crypto.com, as they're really offering a suite of projects across the entire crypto space, the main app, the DeFi wallet, the NFT platform, the Cronos chain. This basically means that if you are a crypto investor, at some point or another, you are bound to come across the crypto.com ecosystem. And as we know, crypto.com has a very sticky ecosystem. So I feel like majority of people that do enter the space do not end up leaving. So once again, very good for that brand recognition of crypto.com, as they do strive to be that #1 crypto exchange. Now, we're going to wrap this up here talking about Ripple and Bank of America. This is a partnership that has pretty much gone under the lid since 2020. Like, a lot of people don't talk about it, but given the fact that a Ripple advisor has hinted at more CBDC announcements in coming weeks, and we have seen a big CBDC push here by US regulators, I do want to talk about this again, because this is a massive partnership. Like, despite what the SEC is doing, the Bank of America is still looking to work with platforms like Ripple, and this is actually a direct quote from Julie Harris. She is the head of global banking. And what she said here is, it's not about our platform and our capabilities. It's about you as a client and the infrastructure you have and the ability for us to integrate, whether that's with platforms and capabilities that we built or partnerships that we have with the likes of Ripple or Swift. So they clearly mentioned Ripple and Swift here in the same sentence, but did confirm that there is in fact a partnership. So this is massive for Ripple. I definitely believe they are going to play a huge role in the future of CBDCs. And this is something that I wanted to bring to your guys' attention, because they have once again confirmed they have announcements in the coming weeks. Now, who is it going to be with? Is it going to be with the World Economic Forum? Is it going to be with the Digital Pound Foundation? Or will it be with the Bank of America? Who knows? Because Ripple has so many key partnerships in place here, and I really think it is only a matter of time before the XRP ledger is adopted on a massive scale. Now, we also have a very big day for Ripple versus the SEC coming up next week, so we will be sure to cover that for you guys in a future video. We're going to wrap it up here, as I am approaching that 30-minute mark once again, babbling like a complete dummy, but you know what to do. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, let me know in the comments down below. You are an absolute champion. Happy Saturday, everyone, once again. I hope you enjoy the day and spend it with the loved ones, and I hope to catch you guys in the next one. Peace out for now.